looks and feels like. That's a $200 sample.
$250.
For me to make one piece of that thing, it's cost $200. The shot cost is about 3 cents once it's made of steel mold and everything.
Gotcha.
But
so you're getting all the mold, but you have to make sure it works first. So you've been testing out like a one-off to a what could be scaled to then now you're in the making a bunch of these.
Just so you know where the stage of this is at. So the PCBs, the boards that are inside here, for example, these PCBs have to be soldered, have the controller, daughter board put on them, but they fit perfectly. So this whole thing is about fit and touch and feel. And it shows like, you just plug it in and it makes the power connections. And if you notice there's 6 power connections. So there's something unique going on there. There's also the data connection. This thing uses CAN bus. It's the same as you'd find in a luxury car or cars these days. And it's a highly reliable, time-sensitive bus. There's also 2 failover buses. So if that first one fails for whatever reason, it's got some piece that's gone haywire, it's got 2 backups, and it uses wireless. I hate wireless, right? It's not true. I don't hate wireless. I actually use the wireless in between.
So today, right now, where we're at is this is what you get the whole infrastructure and buy. Or is it like 15 amps, 20? Like, are there different versions of these?
Yeah. So
when it comes to like,
that was the reason why I brought the 3D printed one, because here's the 3 different types of cards. This is for a typical LED bulb. Right? So if you have, these kinds of early mother fixtures I mentioned. Right?
Yeah, and that was my big aha moment of it. You're just replacing the driver, whatever light, to then you're just having this as a standard.
I went to the same factories that you buy from Home Depot.
Right.
And
so you take the driver that you bought from them, throw that away, or hopefully soon you were going to be able to buy just like a replacement light, if you will, and then you can buy this from you.
That's what we did for years that's why I say the dirty little secret is the entire industry already makes this. This was the unique part. So we just said, put a connector on the end. And
now this just ties back into all the other. So
that's
where like I don't know. This is the circuit board world of like all these little things of like. This is what you had proprietary stuff.
When you plug this into here, it talks to the card, and that little LED light on the corner there will turn green if it's good, yellow if there's an incompatibility. If there's an incompatibility, you touch the button and the display tells you what's wrong.
So your software will map, like, I have 50 of these lights in 5 different rooms and 10 different switches. That's where you're taking different tools, and all this is going is back to one of these?
Yeah, so you'll do usually like 2 to 4 fixtures per driver, per port. And if you have 4 fixtures and a light switch, it'll just show you, here's the 4 fixtures. They're all compatible, they're all the same, because you have to be the same on the same port. And then it'll show you the switch that's attached. And like I said, you just tap the button and the indicator shows what you're doing there. If there's an incompatibility, so let's say you plug one of those lights on, and what's the current on the back of that one, for example? So he's 270 milliamps. This one is 280 milliamps. Technically, these 2 are incompatible, and because of that, the thing will give you a little yellow light right there. If it's red, if it's blinking 1 red blink, that means the first light has failed. If it blinks 2 blinks, it's the second light that's failed.
Yeah.
So, and if it's solid red, that means that the card itself has failed. And if you look inside the card, what's cool is it's a light pipe. Because how does this thing work and give you a red indicator? It's actually all back in here. So every piece of this product was designed to, solve a solution and make sure that it works throughout.
So do you have any case study like homes where this is real live working yet?
This is brand new.
Okay.
Renetta is absolutely brand new. I mean, I love playing with this because right now we're at that stage. I actually make the user manual first. So all of the design and interface of the product. Do you have the light switches? Sorry. So the little light switches. There's a light switch. Exactly like a Decora switch, and it just has the Cat 5s on the back. And if you notice, it's thin, so you can put it behind a pocket door.
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
cool.
just go up to the light, go to another light, down to the
and
switch.
it's all low voltage, so you could go and just cut in boxes and.
You can leave abandoned wires here, because if there's an abandoned wire, this thing.
I guess that's how you could convert it, right? You could just get a low. I guess you can't really run a Cat 6 inside of the box of the copper if you're using both, right?
You can. You just need a separator plate by code. Yeah. So that's the nice thing. You just follow standard.
But
code.
over time, though, it's like you could use the copper as pull cords for half the stuff, and then with all that copper.
Yeah.
But then it's all stapled down, and all the other issues like a.
That's the hard part.
Yeah. So you kind of it's where it's really starting the right way. Like
pretty much new construction, yeah. But you can add. So for let's say you've got a single.
Well, but if it was built new construction, it's easy to bolt onto this. It is a lot to change what's there.
And low voltage guys, low voltage guys versus AC, electricians. Usually an electrician will go in and cut a hole because they need to pull that heavier wire through. The low voltage guys can usually fish things quite easily.
Right.
Fewer holes, fewer damage. So it actually does lend itself to adding resilient lighting. So let's say you've got a solar panel that you just put in and you've got a 48 volt battery. You don't even need the AC adapter. You just take 48 volts straight from the battery, go straight into the plug here, and that's it. And then you can run, Cat 5, so you can add, lights to your house.
The inspection process is going to be interesting with a lot of this stuff. It's like, I just got done going through garbage where they made me put in all kinds of special GFI breakers and all this stuff on circumstances. If I would have just said, there is no, it's only Cat 6 going to all my lights.
The reason why we're using UL as opposed to SGS, TUV, Intertech, etc., is it's just a brand recognition.
Right.
So by having the UL cert on it, people go, okay, I get it.
So they can pass, they say it's UL listed.
It's all, we had, so you remember we started in 2012. I only got the UL cert on the original proof of concept product in 2017. Because all the projects before that, they were just like, oh, it's class 2, don't care. And so, but,
it's a major
for mass market, it's different. Yeah, you have to kind of do that. This is a cool one. So, ceiling fans, right? So Caro,
the lights and mine flickers and does.
Oh, do they? Yeah. So Caro makes 120, 200 different models. And what they did is in the top of it, they have an AC/DC brick. So that's how they all work right now. If you buy them, there's a brick this size that fits up in the top, and it converts the AC into 24 volts DC. Okay. So that's what this is. We just made a 48 volt to 24 volt, 60 watt.
So it does it all.
Does the same thing. It's the exact same size. Yeah. So, you can do Caro ceiling fans with this, or any 12 volt device. We can charge Dyson vacuum cleaners with it. We can power the, Sony Bravia TVs. They're also a 19.1 volt. So what's interesting is I took this and I put a WLED controller in it. So now you can do the color strips.
Oh, cool.
So all of your, holiday lighting that people put around the house now, this is an addressable
so that helps program. You can control it all from that.
And you control it through here, yeah. So it's like, there's no challenge, like I said, the system can't do. That's the little piece that holds it in place so they don't fall apart. But, that's it. You make one connection there. These plastic rivets fit right into low voltage enclosures. And then we'll make a bigger enclosure later that actually has the power planes built in. There is a lot of tech in here. No doubt. This has a reverse current protection here. This has reverse voltage, so polarity can't get wrong in here. Under voltage lockout, over voltage lockout. The little display here, this has a wireless connection to it. And once it connects to the internet, you have a gateway.
So that's kind of like Unify stuff.
Now.
So my Unify network that for my phone, or it has a little screen on the front of. It's kind of that concept of just communicating back and forth. That it's the health of the system.
And we'll tie into those. The whole system is made for integration.
That's what, you pay more for this, but you just plug it in and the cameras work on Unify versus a proprietary thing. It's a whole nother thing to have all this stuff come together.
That was a big part of this. Being an integrator.
Because this is my smart home of a million different apps all working together.
That's pretty good. It's 3 pages. It's a great example. This card is interesting. So I showed you the first one, which is the LED lights. The second card was for strips and bulbs. It's a different type of power. Because this is constant current. This is constant voltage. The last most common standard is PoE, power over Ethernet. So you can power those cameras with this. and this one is an 802.3 BT, which is 80 watts. So it's a big beefy card.
And how many watts is a typical camera use?
A camera use 7 to 10.
So that one thing could run 8 cameras.
You could
Yeah.
daisy chain them, but most PoE is point to point. But if you had a heater in the camera, so if you had a commercial camera, then it can be like 50, 60 watts.
Because I'm looking at, like, if you have 10 cameras and 10 this and 80 lights, you have a lot of these things.
Can be. That's why I said it's about on average, it's about twice the linear feet. So if you have 2,000 feet of Romex in a house, about 1,200 feet of that is for lights and switches. Double that. So in Cat 5 world, it's like 2,400. So you're talking about 2.5 boxes of Cat 5.
Right. Which I put that much in my house, plus that much copper for all the standard
Oh, sure.
stuff.
Yeah, if you run the numbers, then you go, wow, why didn't I meet Derek last year?
Right. Well, but it's still, if I was starting the project today, I couldn't just buy all this stuff right now.
Not this one. So what I did is I have about 150,000 left over of the old Libre product, the proof of concept, and because the height, so they face this direction, so there's 16 ports this way.
So are they vertically integrated where you could start with that one and then build up?
Yeah. So what I've been doing is I've had a couple of projects come along in the last year that wanted like 95 homes, and if I did that, I'd use up all the Libre. So instead what I was doing was just like single homes and projects around different states and such, because that spreads out the word, you've got a local project everywhere. And so it was just a way of kind of getting more single family homes. And so there's about, out of the 3, so we're building 200 demo kits and then 300 packages like this.
Okay.
And about half of them are already bespoke for projects that are just timing wise, they needed to
What's a standard package cost?
This will blow your mind. So, 30 lights, about 22 switches. This is a nicely appointed 3-bedroom home, right? $1,800.
Because the project I'm doing is out in Byers where we're building a big lodge, but then we're doing, the end goal is 100 cabins and 100 owners. Each owner has a cabin. And it's timed, one of the things is tying it all together.
So the lodge?
And we're working on building it all in all the walls in a factory off-site, so that's why I was asking you all the software questions. On behalf of Art of Construction is we need to tie you in on the digital build to match up with the physical build, because this actually, now you maintain it from one source of truth.
Right.
That's the key thing.
And so you talked about a lodge, so that's like a hotel?
Yeah, it's for everyone going. Well, it's conference rooms, a big meeting space, virtual golf, a pro shop, all these type of things for a lot of members. It's a hunting club.
So for the golf simulator, this thing won't interfere with any of the vision of the system because the drivers are analog. You ever notice if you watch a LED lights with a camera, sometimes you see the bars? You can get rid of that with this. Again, just use a slightly different driver. What else? The integration of everything together. These two little connectors here extend this thing point to point. But when you snap in a driver here, driver's gateway. In my bag, sweetie, can you get the other PDM? Oh, you're recording.
What PDM?
Here, I'll grab it. Right.
Which one?
So.
You mean that one? Okay.
So there's a second type of PDM. But anyways, it expands to adopt everything from single-family homes, all the way up to.
This is your scene switches.
Yeah, we made these touchpads because we just want to have some kind of scene controller.
Right.
But underneath this window here, it's got a 9th port. This is the gateway. So the gateway that plugs in, you can have multiple ones. You can have ones that just does an Ethernet connection.
Gotcha.
Or if you
So this is how you can pull off that and just have all these different like specialty stuff.
This is the integration. I kind of call this like the integration port. Yeah. The wireless that's in here is only meant to be. It's another third backup, but it's meant for high-speed over-the-air updates. It is very secure over-the-air updates. And so a gateway for wired Ethernet connection pops in here. And you have, every time you add a PDM, you get one more gateway slot. And they can be different.
Yeah, I'll have to. I need to tie you into Ryan Lee, who him and I have been building out this. So he is IT does a lot. Most of his projects are big government work projects. So big high security clearance stuff. But Then he started electrical division, and the whole goal was like have a QR code on the panel, but he ended up closing that down because it's such trying to keep they're so going in different directions. But now it's coming back together.
We're doing a QR code on here. So right now, if you notice in the back, you scan that,
Right.
it takes you to the instructions on this.
Right. Which is the obvious way once you know it, but it's getting the tech and the engineer and the...
This one, when you scan the QR code on here, it takes you to your system. So not only does it take all the data that was designed into the system,
And how do you store that?
that's a mix of clouds. So some of it's in here.
Because that's where we need to come together. That's what it sounds simple, you say your system, but yeah, where's the actual architect plans? Where's this? Like,
Yeah. So here is
I would challenge you to say it takes you right to your system. I'd say it takes you to the LumenCache part of the system. It's
right.
getting everyone else to come together.
So the reason I added, about 6 months ago, I added this memory card slot here. That's what this is. So you pop a CF card, you push it in.
Okay.
You can keep all of your plans, all of your storage, everything can fit on here.
Okay.
I remember, what was it, Colorado VNet? I love this, speaking of Colorado. I love their product, but when their servers went down, you couldn't reprogram their product
100%.
anymore. I'm like, never,
Yeah.
you buy it, you own it.
So you're saying the analog is you actually just get a little SD card and you
Yeah.
put it in there.
It's that same card, yep. And so the point is that it can hold it, and if you put two of them in,
There's the...
Oh yeah, thank you.
and if you put two of them in, because remember, every PDM has a slot. If you put two of them in, it'll automatically make it as a backup.
Yeah.
So it just shares, that's why the high-speed wireless happens inside the enclosures, and then it talks outside.
Where my mind's going, my advice to you is like, you kind of need to channel these different things of like how it has taken off in Home Depot, where you go in and you see a Ring doorbell or like this, like very basic things that they've scaled, right? Or like my favorite book last year was Build by Tony Fadell, how the Nest thermostat.
I
Like
read that.
those type of that's where my mind goes, because it's like you solve so many things, but you have to do so much, like to wrap your arms around it.
That's why
For
the
you it's
partners-
simple, but that's the getting. It's and like in my world, like we try to not be technical people of like just. You say just put an end on the cable, like my window installer guys. Oh my gosh! Like, where's the crimper? Where's the like? It sounds simple, but getting them to do it is.
That's true, yeah, and that was why, like I said, Matt Blomquist, that's what he did. The first day he taught the kids how to put this tip on.
Which is so valuable now, because still not many people know how to do that.
This thing has been around, I don't know, 30 years.
Right.
And, what's his name? Bill Metcalf. The guy who came up with this connector, in LinkedIn, I connected with him. And, because again, he's one of our heroes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Any of these guys that were the really early people. Yeah, and it's kind of fun to see, because I was asking him, like, hey, what do you think? What's going to be the next version of this? It still works, though. This
Right.
product has been, you can put in Cat 5 in a home and still get, 10 gigabit over a short distance. You're not going to get the full 300 feet, but short distance, yeah, no problem. So, and the transceivers keep getting better and better and better. So this one wire.
So what you're saying is you don't think that connection is the standard.
It's going to be around for a long time. Yeah. The reason I made the single pair Ethernet one is because I think in 5 years, the transceiver chips, right now they're $4 plus. I have to get them down to the 60 cents each that the RS-45 technology that we use now. It'll happen, like the technology is going to go in that direction. So I think long term, the single pair Ethernet one is going to be most common.
Yeah, you're in a good way. You're so far in the weeds of all that stuff that like the guy out here on the podcast, but yet like RJ45 to Cat 6 to chips, like I love this stuff, and I'm looking at it like this is totally overwhelming.
So that's the driver from the first gen. That's the 30-watt driver I was telling you about. Again, look at a 30-watt driver for AC. It's that big. It's this big. That's a 30-watt driver for AC. That's a 30-watt driver for DC. These things, I think we've got 12,000 of these out in the world, right? So what I said was, well, I'm going to replace everybody. If you got warranty, so if you have a warranty problem with your old system, I'm going to replace it with this. You get a brand new system, right? Again, love the early adopters. Thank you very much for supporting us.
Right.
So, but the drivers are probably still fine. These are really robust. So what I did is I made an adapter card.
Oh, cool. So it just plugs right in.
And remember I said to you, you got that CCT adjuster switch? There it is right there.
Oh,
That's
jeez.
because this driver is only a single channel. And so I just did the same thing that the AC lights did, but I put it back in the panel here.
So you've connected with a whole team that can just make this stuff. You come up with it and they're
Oh, yeah.
making it right there on the fly. And all
Yeah,
that stuff.
I know how to make product now. That's what I learned over the last 7 years. Yeah. And when you look at this product, you probably think of, oh, the technology and everything that's in here. When I look at this product, I look at the fact that all of these plastic pieces, for example, have 0 slide outs. What that means is the mold just goes boom, boom.
Because
Every 3 seconds.
Simple moving parts.
Every 3 seconds I can make, 40 of these things. Boom, boom. Every 3 seconds.
All for
Yeah.
production.
Just thinking
reasons.
about it. Yeah. Yeah, so this is really the magic of this product, outside of its application use, is that the way every single millimeter of this thing was designed is to allow the manufacturing of it in a very cost-effective way. And so minimum materials, minimum mold tools, yeah.
Yeah, my initial mind is like what I pay, lights from Home Depot with this thing to then I used Casa, which were $50 switches that then they screw up, like the scenes and the this, and then this one doesn't connect. And,
It's imperfect.
yeah.
And lights you can't mess with. That's the problem with lights. It's like, we always used to say don't mess with the lights. Because, when you walk in fact, some parts of the country now, the code says that you can't use wireless for a required light. Right? So over the entrances, for example, you have to have a light switch and a light. That cannot be a wireless connection. It has to be wired. But we actually strengthen wireless. So at these lights and switches, we're making wireless access points. So the Bluetooth devices.
That's where like Z-Wave and Zigbee and all those way back in the day, when you just plug one, they start connecting, which was cool. But then they had their own silos too of how they connected.
Mesh was trying to fix the connectivity problem by saying, well, more is better. We'll get more and more points. But now you've got hundreds of mesh things, and they still have to try and find each other, and the routing is complex. The new versions, they keep getting better and better at it, but if you notice, they're still trying to fix connectivity, security, and battery life. It's the same thing. We're at the 6th generation of that.
Yeah, it's the same with the batteries on your Schlage lock. You have to replace every 30 days.
Wow.
And they've now taken out the Bluetooth as a separate device, because when that's always on, it just kills the batteries.
Oh, okay. So,
Which is makes sense, but now you have to have another plug-in for just the programming part of, and you're bypassed all that, having separate plugins all over the place to just run this one door lock.
So think about how many times, let's go back to doors and windows for a second. So you have people that have pantry lights, right? And it's triggered by the door. So with AC, you have to put a big AC brick switch in there, right? It's a pain in the ass. Electricians are like, I gotta get the millwork guys in here to do that thing. With ours, it's a low voltage switch. It's the same magnetic contact switch you use for security. So drill a 3/4 inch or a 3/8 inch hole, and then just hook the wire up, done, connect it up to the light.
On your way out, I want to show you a lock, the Yale Assure lock, that the complications of doors. On the way out, I'll show you one that.
So think about Qi charging now, right? When you plug in your phone, if you go to your car, usually you'll take your phone and you'll drop it in there and it'll charge.
Right.
It's got a wireless Qi pad. You can do the same thing with a door. So you're just wiring up to the butt side of the door, screwing in a Qi pad.
I'll show you one that is down there, that how the U.S. locks work right now.